Hello, I'm Eva from Pirates Crochet. Today we're going to sew the pumpkin. We'll need yarn. I'm using Himalaya Dolphin Baby, color number 80316, a yarn needle, stuffing, and a crochet hook. I'm working with a 4.0 millimeter hook. We start with one chain, turn your work. Now we'll join the foundation chain with the back loops only of row 24. Insert your hook into the back loop. See? On the hook, there's only one strand of yarn. The front loop stays untouched, just like before when we worked the rows of the pumpkin. Now find the corresponding stitch in the foundation chain. Yarn under and pull through both loops, finishing a slip stitch into the chain stitch we made before turning the work. Again, go through the back loop only and the stitch from the foundation chain, yarn under, and make a slip stitch. Continue working like this through all 20 stitches of row 24 and the 20 stitches of the foundation chain until the side is completely joined. This is how the seam looks once it's finished. This is how it will appear on the right side of the work. For practical reasons, I cut my yarn earlier when finishing the pumpkin. But in fact, this is the moment when you should cut a 60 centimeters, about 24 in tail, as written in the pattern. This length is enough to sew the bottom and the top of the pumpkin, as well as to shape it. Since I already cut mine, I'm adding a new strand from the skein and threading it onto my needle. Now I remove the stitch markers I used to keep track of the row count. We'll be sewing through the top stitches of each row, weaving the needle in and out, catching one row at a time so we can later pull the yarn tight. I insert the needle under the first stitch and pull the yarn all the way through. Then I go into the next and the next. After a few stitches, you can pull the yarn a little to check if the base is gathering nicely and if the pumpkin is shaping well. As you can see, my pumpkin already started forming its first ridge. Keep sewing through all the rows until every stitch is caught. Pull the yarn evenly to close the bottom of the pumpkin. Turn it right side out to see how it looks. If you still have a small hole, just pass the yarn around the stitches once more and pull tight. That closes it up. Turn the pumpkin right side out again to check the result. You can also secure it by passing the yarn through the center a few times to make sure the bottom doesn't open when we add stuffing. Now it's time to stuff the pumpkin. I'm using hypoallergenic polyester filling. Add plenty of stuffing, shaping the base of the pumpkin as you go. Try to keep the yarn tail roughly in the center of the stuffing. Don't overstuff, it should still be soft enough to shape later. Once most of the pumpkin is filled, we'll sew the top the same way we sewed the bottom. Add more stuffing as needed while you work. Again, pull the yarn evenly as you close the top. Before finishing, add extra filling if you feel any empty spots. When the top is almost closed, I still had a small opening, so I ran the yarn around again and pulled through the center, just like we did for the bottom. Now the pumpkin is closed and ready to be shaped. Pass the yarn through the center of the pumpkin so it comes out the other side. This makes sure both ends are secured. Lay the yarn along the side of the pumpkin, keeping it snug against the surface. This is where we'll make our first ridge. Insert the needle back through the center and pull tight. Make sure the yarn is placed neatly along the side. That gives us the first groove. Lay the yarn on the next side and pass it through the center again. Repeat this process 5 times in total. If you want more grooves, you'll need to leave a longer yarn tail than 60 centimeters at the start. Adjust the tension of the yarn and the shape of the ridges as needed. As you can see, I'm simply doing this with the needle. Once you're happy with the shape, secure the yarn and hide the end. Your crochet pumpkin is ready. Thank you for watching.